see, that's just do this. I can go all the way up. Yeah, and he what's ironic is when I went in to see the neurosurgeon, he said he goes, but right before the surgery, he says, now I want you to understand that with this type of surgery, he said, you will probably experience limited movement towards your left shoulder because that's the side we're going to go in on. And you will no longer have full flex in looking up. And I'm like, okay, just don't screw up my vocal cords because I sing.
Yeah.
I know, weird. Anyway, and so at our first follow-up after my collar, I said, check this out. And I went like this and turned all the way to my left, just like I am now. And I went all the way up and he goes, you're not supposed to be able to do that. I said, I don't know what to tell you. He goes, no, you don't understand. Seriously, you're not supposed to be able to do that at all. And he says, I just don't understand. I said, it's called God.
Yeah.
And he said, I want you to know, he goes, I have had patients who have healed as rapidly as you. He says, but I've truly never had anyone heal as completely as you have. And I'm like, well, what can I say? I'm always odd.
Nah, that works.
But in a good way. Okay, well, let me officially get the meeting started. So good evening. It's Wednesday evening. It's a little after 7 o'clock, and this is Keto Confab. We are a group of people trying to support each other in living the keto lifestyle, according to the teachings of Dr. Annette Bosworth. And I'm Elizabeth Hanson, and I host this along with my husband, Scott. And we're here just to support each other. So it is July 13th, July 13th. And so
2022.
Yeah, 2022. And Renee was just sharing her neck surgery story, and I started the recording while she was talking. And so here we are. Yeah, all the likely suspects. And so how is everybody's week?
Good.
Good. I watched 2 really good videos this week that I'll probably link in the description of this video. The first one was about exposure to infrared sun rays and how that helps prevent and can even to a certain extent reverse dementia. And a lot of it has to do with exposing the eyes to the sun's rays. So if you wear sunglasses all the time when outside, that's not the best for your brain. But also through skin absorption and vitamin D helps the brain to stay young and pliable and work well. And so that was interesting. And then the other one I listened to was about the microbiome. And we all know, well, most of us have heard about how we have this flora microbiome in our guts, but they now have found that there is a microbiome of the brain as well, that the brain has all these bacteria and virus microbes crawling around in it. And the healthier that is, the healthier our brains can be. But it starts with the gut. We have to get our gut microbes going well. And the man that's on the video, he says probiotics are almost worthless. He says prebiotics and what's that called? You know, what foods that are rotting? What are they called? Fermentation foods. There we go. Are the important thing both for the gut and for the brain, and reducing stress and reducing sugar and carbs. And now he wasn't a keto doctor, you know, but he said right there, reducing sugar and carbs protects the brain and helps the brain grow the right microbiome and the gut grow the right microbiome. And so this is the very first time I've heard anyone say that the brain has a microbiome. And, you know, we're always taught in medical training that the brain has a blood-brain barrier that blocks infection and everything, but they're finding that that isn't exactly the case. So this is fascinating. I'm going to see if I can find more information about it, but it's a starting place to think about. And it also reinforces, you know, what Dr. Bosworth has said is our food creates what our brains are, you know, because we all knew that our food messes with our guts and how our guts and our stomach function and all of that. But this is even more a direct link to brain function and food. And so it was very, those were two good videos I watched this week. Then the other good video I'll just mention, it's not necessarily keto, but it is about health. And it is a concern right now, and that is about COVID. And what they've said now is the studies that they've done with COVID, because it's been so urgent and stuff, has taught us things about other viruses. And one of the things they've found out is that our bodies produce something called interferon, and there is an interferon 1, 2, 3, and 4, and they are the precursors, or they're the most immediate parts of the immune system that react to an infection. And their activation is what causes a fever to begin. And they can only continue to grow and spread to fight an infection while there's the fever. And so this explains why so many naturopaths and stuff have always said, you know, don't treat a fever. It's nature's way of trying to help you fight off a bacteria or a virus, that you should wait and not take something for a fever right away and just knock it down. And that's because if the body doesn't mount that defense with interferon, it is weakened. You'll have a longer course of illness, no matter what it is. You'll be sicker, no matter what it is. So it's best to have the fever, even if it gets up to 103. It's better to have the fever, because that will knock down the virus or the bacteria faster than knocking down the fever right away. And, you know, your body going, wait a minute, you're knocking out my defense. And so that was really interesting to me. Maybe I'll link that one here. I know it's not keto related, but in one way it is keto related, because we need to honor the way our bodies actually work. And when we're trying to find the diet for us and be healthier, we have to find that ratio of fat and protein and carbs and sugars for us. And what Dr. Boz's research and what she's taught us is that, you know, the carbs and the sugars do nothing for our bodies. And it's not the way our bodies were made to eat the huge amounts of them that we as Americans want to eat and stuff. So this is just another way, you know, we as Americans, I remember my mother, as soon as we had a fever of 99.1, she was dumping the Tylenol down our throats, you know. And I personally don't believe that's the way we should be anymore. I think we need to give our bodies a chance to mount its defense and build those muscles in our immune system to fight things off. So, okay, I'm done. Someone else talk.
Hi, sorry I missed last week. I guess you all, maybe I told Elizabeth, we had a power outage big time, and because my husband has a CPAP, we had to go to the garage and get the generator pumped up and extend all the extension cords all the way to the bedroom and everything. Plus, of course, we hooked up the refrigerator. It did take 18 hours to get it returned.
Wow.
I live in a wooded area, and one of my neighbors lost a tree that was 2-foot diameter and knocked out all power. I'm sure you guys have your own problems. But anyway, it made me realize how dependent I am on technology and electricity. We sat there with we got the generator going, and so we did have one light there in the den. And so we sat there and talked to each other. Well,
no.
how did your day go today? Besides all this, but it was good. He has his life and I have mine. He's still working. He's 74 and he's still working. And so I let him do his thing and I do my thing. And I go to the Y and I have my little meditation out on the porch. And I have my Zoom meetings that I go to, and I have my Bible studies that I go to. So, and then here's the thing. We speak German, so we watch German TV on the internet. And so we watch murder mysteries. And it's sort of like being in a book club, because after the show was over, I said, well, why do you think she said it that way? I mean, she really hated him, didn't she? And so we did, it's sort of like a book club. We get to discuss, our understanding of what the German was. Besides that, I want to mention, I did do my 36-hour fast again this week. And I'm, it's sort of getting boring. I'm going to be on this for the rest of my life. So, but I'll keep reporting it in case anyone is interested. I was in an interesting Zoom meeting and they were asking if Dr. Boz had ever said specifically that taking extra BHB causes autophagy. And one person said that she thinks she heard Dr. Boz say that one time, that it helps no matter what. Now, I know that as far as Alzheimer's goes, there's at least one woman, she was Dr. Mary somebody, I don't remember her last name, but she had a husband with Alzheimer's and she fed him BHB in his food without him knowing, because he didn't really, want to do anything different than normal. And he had periodic testing going on, and he actually improved by taking BHB. So I think there is been, what I've done now is I have incorporated taking the MCT, Dr. Boz's MCT tablets in the afternoon, and I drink some seltzer water with it. So also I wanted to mention that Dr. Boz, as some of you might know, she was at the Keto Con in Austin, Texas, and her speech, that woman, Angela, that works in her office, recorded it on her cell phone, and she published it on YouTube. And it was really, even though it was not very professional because it was just a cell phone recording, it was very eye-opening to me. Did anyone else see it?
No.
Yes, no. But she had some really good graphics explaining how glucose gets into the blood. And then she explained about the hemoglobin A1C and how that is a very important marker for all doctors to get a real quick picture about your general health and your, you know, your tendency towards heart and sugar problems and things like that. So I thought I definitely recommend watching that. Also, she had a Tuesday night YouTube session. I don't know if any of you saw that, but I want to recommend that also. She talked about her missions trip to Honduras, and it was a little bit of a tear jerker there. There's at least one really sad story there that made her realize, getting your carbs down to 20 a day is not really even an issue in Honduras. Even the middle class kids only get 2 meals a day there. And it's not healthy stuff, but she says they're only getting 2 meals a day, even if, they're not in an orphanage or anything like that. So it was sort of good. And also she talked at the end about the importance of not going too fast on the keto continuum. So I really believe that Dr. Boz is my best resource. I've listened to Dr. Barry and Dr. Sai and of course the Dr. Jamandes from India. And they all have good pieces, but for an all around availability to answer questions doing with different topics, I think Dr. Boz is my best helper. Number 3, I wanted to report that I think I mentioned that I was going to start doing the brains course, and we had our first meeting this week, and there's the teacher and there's 5 other people, and it's 3 of them have had severe brain injuries. So they're dealing with so severe that they're no longer working in their professions. They've been in car accidents and stuff like that. So it's really, for me, with the family history of Alzheimer's, it's important. But now I'm starting to remember that one of my brothers crashed into a tree in his 20s, and maybe he had some long-lasting injuries that I'm just, we've never really, recognized. So it's a good thing. It's, a lot of science again, which is not my forte, but it's good to be exposed to it. So I wanted to mention that.
Yeah, we enjoy brain class.
Last piece, I don't want to get into too much, but I had some very bad news from one of my sisters. She has now been put on hospice with COPD. And so I've been talking to her about keto, and, she said, no.
If you get her to get some acupuncture, my next door neighbor, I extended his life probably by 2 years.
Okay, that's why I really don't want to talk about it. She's not really open to anything, so it's not a matter of me trying to twist her arm to do anything. I'm just mentioning it to you that for the next 6 months or so, I'm probably going to be dealing with that.
Does she
I'm
live near
in North
you,
Carolina, and she's in Baltimore, so it's about an 8-hour drive. So I'm planning on going up there and staying with her a while, but it's not something like I'm going to be able to change anything.
No.
Anyway, so I just wanted to sort of mention it. Thanks for letting me talk.
Yeah. Now, Patricia mentioned the BHB and going into autophagy. I'm not sure if Dr. Boz ever said exactly that. I know she said for people who are, coming into keto and want to get their ketones up, want to get their number of their ketones up to take the BHB and the MCT3 oils and stuff. But I don't know if she said going into autophagy, but it doesn't really matter, you know, and because people can choose to take it or not take it, and it work. What I understand they both work towards is getting you more ketones in the blood, you know, building your ketone levels. And yeah, it's I'm sorry to hear your sister's gone on. Now I forgot the word, not hospice. There we go, hospice. But you know, I have a brother who I know is insulin resistant and in lots of trouble, and he's not interested in changing his diet or his lifestyle or anything. And so I just have to give up. Love him anyway, you know, I love him anyway. And I see him when I can. And, you know, even seeing how well I did losing all the weight I lost and how healthy I was able to get and everything, he hasn't been impressed at all. In fact, he's never mentioned it. Never mentioned it. Went to see him. He never said, wow, you've really lost a lot of weight, look a lot better. No. So, you know, they're just people, you know, and it's okay.
The truth of it is, there's some psychological problems, you know, and I think a lot of times with all of us, like it took me, you know, more than 6 months to accept that I had to get rid of my evening wine with Dr. Boz. She finally said, no, wine's not going to work for you. I mean, it takes a while to accept, you know, like your last meal has to be before 2 o'clock in the afternoon. A lot of people will never come to that acceptance, you know, but it took me 6 months or so to realize I had to do that. I had to do it. So it's, you know, there's a understanding of the science, and then there is your emotional side. So it all has to come together in order for it to work.
Yeah. We're all different, and it takes different things, and who knows, you know, with me, just watching that video with Dr. Boz, you know, about her mother and how she, you know, got healthy using keto and everything, but unfortunately died from COVID. I don't know, something clicked in my brain. I mean, I had thought for years, I got to do something about my diet. I got to lose weight. I got to do something to get healthy. But who knows exactly what was it in what Dr. Boz said in that video that finally clicked in my brain and made me go for it, you know? And we all have that different place. And if we're not ready to hear it, if we just can't hear it because of our own, I'm going to call it filters or something, you know, we're just not going to hear it. And so it's okay. It's all right. We still love you. But yeah, and I will get the link to Dr. Boz's Tuesday night and to that video from the Keto Con that was done on a cell phone, because, and put them with this video so people can find them easier and everything. I just forget Tuesday night is the night she's live. You know, I used to watch every Sunday night live. I'd remember it for some reason when it was on Sunday night, but now that it's been on Tuesdays, just nope, I don't remember. So Renee, what do you have to say for yourself? Hey, can you tilt your video down so we can see you a little more?
No,
No? Are you naked or what?
no, I was working at my
Are you naked?
I noticed my neighbor to the west of me, passed away about a month ago,
Mhm.
which makes me the last living human being on my little square patch of street. Park in front of me, and then across my street that's on the east side of me, there are people living, but on the street I'm actually living on, between 10th and 11th Street, I'm the only human at the moment. So, but
Hang in there, you'll get more neighbors.
yeah, so anyway, but the kids next door have been cleaning out the house, and like I mentioned, I helped with his COPD with acupuncture for many years, and he and I were just, I grew up as a child with watching my mom really get to know her neighbors, and it instilled in me the importance of, number one, know your neighbors. Number two, getting to be good friends, if at all possible, with your neighbors, because those people can watch your home for you, or you can be there for them. And anyway, that was kind of our deal. He was a farrier, so he did horseshoes, and wonderful man. And so whenever he'd be out of town, I'd watch his house. Whenever I would be out of town, he'd watch my house and take care of my cat if I didn't take her with me. But anyway, as his kids were cleaning out the house, they came over the other day and said, hey, you've really been so good to our dad while he was alive, and we'd like to give you a few things of his that we don't want to take to the house, and they're perfectly fine things. We just want to do something nice for you. And so they brought over a freestanding coat rack, which was really nice, and a 26-inch TV.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're sweet kids, I mean, they said, now, if you need anything, I know Dad's not here anymore, but if you need anything, you call us. We'll come by and help you. So, it's always sad when you lose people around you, but, number one, I think, as a Christian, I think he's in a better place. He's not hurting anymore. But that's kind of where I've been for this week. So I've been dealing with a lot of that. And then I've had patients who apparently there is a new wrinkle in the COVID stuff. Now there's another strain that's come out that even if, especially if you've already had it at least twice, it can really nail your butt to the wall. And then there's some people that they're saying the concern is for those who have for whatever reason have managed not to get COVID yet, this might be the one that gets them. So, my brother, who does research on the COVID virus itself, the one thing he said is, he goes, sister, make sure a day does not go by that you forget to take zinc and vitamin D. He goes, those two things are your best bet to keep you from getting the coronavirus. He goes, I mean, because there's too many other variables. He goes, but I will tell you, those two things absolutely are your bottom line. I know consistently across the board will reduce, if you were to get it, how bad it gets, but hopefully keep you from getting it altogether. That's what his research is showing. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Scott was potentially exposed to someone at church this last Sabbath, and I told him, you got to be drinking your water and taking your vitamin D and zinc, and he's like, I wasn't even within 6 feet of her, and I'm like, okay, but
I'm getting plenty of natural vitamin D these days.
Oh yeah, he's out in the garden all the time. So
well, yeah, but with the other stuff that I'm doing,
all the mosquito research and the
mosquitoes and pollinators
and everything.
Scott, you're welcome to come to Oklahoma. We have lots of mosquitoes here, and I think we have the mosquitoes from Hades.
You do.
Find a new variety here.
Oh, I've been looking for that variety. Yeah.
Come and visit me.
Wow, they're in Oklahoma. I never would have guessed.
Yes, I
was
think they're
thinking
large
the Amazon
enough
or
to carry
something.
off a small child.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. We've got pictures.
We have their cousin.
Oh yes.
Just as big.
Well, I can't complain too much about the mosquitoes this year. They haven't pestered me too much, which is good. Wow, your dog is getting big, Tammy. Look at that. Wow. Hello.
I love those eyes. They're so pretty.
Look at that face. Such a
Yeah.
nice face.
I scratch his back like this. I kind of like massage it down like this all the time. So all the time he comes and sits on me and puts his butt in at my face so I can do this all the time. This is his favorite thing to do, just to get up on me and put his butt in my face.
Mhm.
I will tell you, this animal world, that is a sign of extreme respect, because an animal will not give you its rear end in the animal world unless they
Respect and trust.
really
Yep.
respect and trust you.
Right. He sure is pretty.
He's 10 months old and I think he's probably about full size now.
What's he talking about? What's he got to say?
He's at the window barking at people outside.
Yeah, this is our Bella. This is our little Bella. She likes to bark at the people out the window too. Say
He used
hello.
to be so quiet and never bark, and now he barks every day. I like the quiet Snickers better.
Oh, his name is Snickers?
Doesn't he
That's
look like
nice.
a Snickers, all those browns?
Yeah, he does. That's a cool name. I like that. Yeah. Okay, Miss Bella. I've shown you off enough. You're good.
Does he,
The
does he
reason
have
my
a
screen was
particular-
lowered so much is because I was cleaning the remote.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
see. What'd you say, Julie?
Most Australian shepherds have a lot of energy.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Is he an Australian, Tammy?
she's
Oh.
talking to him right now. Tammy, is he an Australian Shepherd dog?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They need
Um,
some herding to do.
I made him go outside and I shut the door and I just let him back in. And this is what I get.
Need some in your backyard. Give him a job to go herd some cows.
Yeah, I gotta get some cows in the backyard. Just hope they don't have antlers.
Yeah, and been raised by a dog.
Julie, could I ask you a question?
You
I-
bet.
I hope it's not, I think it's appropriate. The other week I heard somebody talk about they felt like the farmers were having a food shortage, that so many farmers had been forced out of business. The ones that were raising meat for, others' consumption, that so many of them had been forced out of business, that one woman said that a dozen eggs was going to go up to $12. And then I talked to another girlfriend. She said she had farmers in the business. She said, there's no problem. There's no problem. So what have you heard in that area?
Well, we did have people in North Dakota last year that didn't have enough hay because of the drought. So they did have to sell off part or all of their cows. But the price of eggs, from what I understand, I sell my eggs for $2 a dozen. Eggs at the store, she said, can I get a couple dozen from you instead? So I don't know. I never buy eggs, so I don't know about that.
Well, they said that the chicken feed had gone up so high, like it tripled or something like that.
I haven't noticed it so much here in North Dakota where I'm at, but I'm sure down in other parts of the states that probably did, but I can still buy my feed for $23 a bag or whatever. My chickens are still, they get
So
They get
since Julie is our resident farmer knowledge person,
In the stores here locally, eggs are about $4 a dozen,
okay.
but
But
there's a lot of variation.
People were paying $6, $8 a dozen for organic eggs. So, it's like, depends on what kind of eggs you're going to buy, I guess.
Right.
mine are cheap because I just have the chickens because I like them. And I don't have to buy eggs, but mine are $2 a dozen. I haven't gone up in price for years.
Yeah, we get our eggs from a local person here and they charge us $2 a dozen. And they're good
right,
eggs.
$2.50, but yeah.
Mine are as organic as they come. I mean, I don't give my chickens any antibiotics or anything like that. I use diatomaceous earth for mites, and they get grass, they get dehydrated bugs, they get all kinds of scraps, and but the feed for like horses and stuff has gone up. If you're going to buy bagged feed for horses, that's gone up about $4 a bag or so. But I don't do that much either because I got a lot of grassland for them.
The big problem, I have a friend who has hundreds of acres, well, actually thousands of acres of grains and beans and sunflowers and everything. And she says the problem last year was the drought. This year, the problem is fuel prices. Diesel is insane. Regular gas is insane. Even propane is expensive. Everything's expensive, and anything you do with farming usually involves some sort of fuel. You got to drive out to these fields. You can't have 6,000 acres of fields and all of them be within walking distance of your house, you know. And so she says, you know, we got to drive the big semi trucks to get the grain or to take the fertilizer here and there. And, you know, you got to run your sprayers and your tillers and your waters and everything. And she says it's the fuel costs this year that's going to kill them this year.
Well, it costs for me to fill my truck up. If my truck is, let's say, just an eighth of a tank, it can cost me $145 to fill it up. Just because that's how much it costs for fuel. But tractors usually go through it a lot slower, but it still is a big cost for farmers.
Yeah. They're not getting out of farming. Her and her son aren't going to get out of farming this year, but you know, it's a lot. It's a lot. And, you know, there are so many, you know, climate people who are talking about how much, you know, cows fart and the resources that, you know, having grazing animals, cows, sheep, goats, pigs, you know, is that we shouldn't be raising animals. We should make our meat in a what do you call that, a lab. You know,
Petri dish.
Yeah, in a petri dish. I'm not really interested in that kind of meat. I don't know about you guys. I mean, no offense or anything. I just am not that interested in that kind of meat.
Talking about that, I don't know if we've discussed it here, but there's a woman named Sophia Clemens in Hungary, and
You've
she
mentioned
runs
her
the
before.
lab, and they run, it's called the PKD. It's a paleo ketogenic diet.
Mhm.
And two of the ladies in one of the groups I go to are doing it because they have, both of them have at least 2 autoimmune diseases. And basically, it's like 90% fat, like pork fat. So like this one woman, she eats pork belly and she drinks a little bit of coffee in the morning, but besides that, she doesn't put any butter on anything, or she doesn't eat any vegetables, doesn't eat any eggs, nothing. She just eats fat. And that's evidently what this PKD diet is. And it's supposedly very successful. Even Dr. Boz has talked about Sophia Clemens as being very successful. So
yeah, I actually eat very few vegetables because I was eating a lot of tomatoes because I really like them and they go with a lot of things and everything. But then I started noticing that, I fell on my back around Easter time and the inflammation in my back was a problem. And it kicks up when I eat tomatoes. So I'm off tomatoes right now. And so I eat broccoli and cabbage. I need to eat more sauerkraut is what I need to eat, but I really wish I could find a 100% pork sausage that I could have. Anybody know any brands of 100% pork sausage?
What's in the sausage that you can't have like the other ones?
Well, most of the ones that I see at Walmart or our local grocery store have chicken or beef in them. It's not 100% pork meat. I need
see.
just pork.
I wonder what's in these ones I have out here.
Pork belly. Pork belly is 100% pork and has
Yeah.
no nitrates or sulfites in it.
hmm
Can you get that?
Yeah, I can get it. I don't like it very much. I'm figured out how to make it, Patricia, to where I'll eat it. So I shouldn't be so picky, I guess. Duck eggs are higher in protein than chicken eggs. I don't know. They might be. Scott, what do you think? Are they? Do you know?
I have no idea.
Can
I
you look them up
type
on
it in the
Chronometer?
Chronometer, yeah.
The duck, I've been writing about the duck eggs. No, my sausage patties that I have out there have turkey.
Yeah. See, they're usually a combination of meats, and I can't do that. I'm a non-combo kind of chick.
I wrote a bunch of comments about the duck eggs.
Oh, okay. I missed them. Oh, there they are. Okay.
Oh, Renee wasn't there and I wrote answers. Can you see my
Oh,
answers,
okay.
Renee?
No, my whole computer froze and locked me out, and so
Oh. Google says they are much bigger. 2 duck eggs equal 3 chicken eggs, so they would have more protein since they're 50% bigger. 9 grams of protein in duck, 7 grams for a chicken egg.
so chicken eggs are higher.
No, duck eggs
duck
have
eggs.
9
Okay.
grams in a duck and 7 in a chicken.
And then the other thing I noticed was when I went to crack the eggs in my pan, the shells are like ultra thin. I was like, well, geez Louise.
In the duck one, because it said the duck shells are thicker, and it also said that the duck yolk is a lot bigger than the chicken yolk, about twice as big as a chicken.
These duck eggs look to be the same size as my chicken eggs. Now the yolks were a little bit darker in color, but I didn't notice any other physical difference. Other than, like I said, when I broke the shells were like super thin.
It says, so a duck egg is about 50% larger than a chicken egg, but the yolk of a duck egg is disproportionately larger. So instead of being only 50% larger, the yolk is nearly twice as large. And remember, the yolk is where the fat and the cholesterol of the egg is. So a duck has nearly twice the fat of a chicken egg, 9.6 grams for the duck and versus 5 for the chicken.
I wonder if it depends upon the duck, or I mean the type of duck, because there's more than one duck. You know what I mean?
Well, and you could if you compared a small duck to a large chicken egg. I mean,
I see your response, Tammy. Thank you.
Well, I just posted the link, but I had written before when you were out.
Yeah, sorry.
It's too bad. It's too bad Julie's not available, because I was just listening to some homesteaders in Alaska that raise animals and store their duck eggs away. And they said that in order to make the shells thicker, they fed them something different. And I think Julie could probably answer. What was it? What did she say she fed her chickens? Some kind of soil thing?
Diatomaceous earth? No, that was
yeah, that.
Diatomaceous earth.
That's the thing that I heard these Alaskan people saying.
And she said she feeds them
thicker.
dehydrated bugs. Ew. Okay. I know that chickens will eat ticks and fleas and bugs off the ground while they're scratching around and everything. And that's okay. But boy,
Oh, I have to show you something here.
there was someone saying, Scott, we watched that video in being able to store your eggs for
In
6
water.
months or more.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
you can store them in water. And what is it you put in the water? There's something you put in the water. What is
Lime, I
it?
think.
Yeah, I think it's a lime.
Yep.
Yeah, and you can store them in glass jars or ceramic
Yeah.
things for like 6 months to a year, and your eggs will stay fresh or fine or whatever.
Did
Yeah.
you know that if you put an egg in vinegar and leave it overnight, that the shell will be like rubber?
No.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I've heard that.
That
Yeah.
in Scouts as a kid. It was
It
great.
dissolves the calcium.
Yep. It makes it just like rubber.
Really?
Yeah.
Boy, why would you want to do that? Maybe it comes off easier, when you, like, if you boil it after that.
I don't know. We never did. All I know is that you could drop those eggs and they bounced.
Yep. But I wonder if there's any kind of flavor of the vinegar left.
I don't know. That might be an experiment I have to try.
Yeah. Well, we have 2 new people that just came on. You want to say hi? Surfies iPhone. I'm sorry. You want to say hi to everybody?
Hi, it's Connie.
Oh, hi, Connie. I think you've been here before, haven't you, Connie?
Yes, once before.
Yeah, once before. And then there's Berkeley Monroe. Are you there, Berkeley? Do you want to say hi? Maybe not. If you're shy, that's okay. We're a somewhat informal group. We don't have some sort of formal presentation. We just yak about our lives, our keto lives, and other things. We've just been discussing duck eggs versus chicken eggs, and the amount of protein and the thickness of their shells and how much they cost and what do chickens get fed. And I don't think she was feeding the chickens the biotenacious earth. I think she was using it to keep, what are those things?
For the mites.
For mites
Yeah,
out of their
yeah.
feathers. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, but so eggs and
But I would
vinegar.
think if she's sprinkling diatomaceous earth on them,
Yeah.
they would probably be willing to eat it because it would hit the ground.
Yeah, I suppose it'd be on the ground. I don't own chickens actually. So I don't really know about chicken life.
Well, I use diatomaceous earth around my house, like to get rid of other bugs and stuff that I don't want to get in from outside and stuff, because it kills the bugs.
Oh, well, maybe that's why I've never had it, because Scott loves insects so much and likes to collect them. I don't think he
Yeah, I
wants
think
me to be putting that around.
I think diatomaceous earth, it rubs off the exoskeleton. But the same is true of borax crystals as well. I think it's borax crystals because they're microscopic and they're very sharp and abrasive, and so you sprinkle that around the, like your kitchen, around the edge of your kitchen, if you have problems with ants or cockroaches or whatever, if you sprinkle that around near the baseboards and stuff, then when they walk through that, it scrapes off the wax layer of the exoskeleton, and so they eventually dehydrate actually.
However, if you have pets, you don't want to use the boric acid because it can harm your animals, whereas the diatomaceous earth won't hurt them.
Yeah, because it's basically inert. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Connie, how are things going with keto with you?
Been really good. I know last
Great.
time I talked to you, I had I was having issues with getting my sugar down. It is slowly going down. I mean, it's I'm still getting like 105 to 95 is what I'm kind of averaging in the morning, but I am hitting like my Dr. Boz ratio. My ketones are like, they'll go from probably about 1.5 to 2.5 in the morning, and they're probably higher in the evening. I don't usually check it in the evening. I have checked it in the evening, and it is higher in the evening. So I know if I'm, you know what I mean, at that at least 1.5, in there, I'm doing pretty good. I started doing my 72 hours last week. So right now I'm on my second one. So I'm excited that it's been a long time I had been wanting to do them, but wasn't ready. So I'm, excited that I'm finally here. Last week I had like issues a lot where I was, just getting some headaches from it. And I think I just wasn't getting enough sodium in. So I made sure that this week I had ordered me some more stuff. And so I'm making sure I'm getting plenty of sodium in, and I didn't have any headaches today. So I think that's what I was. I get paranoid with it because I have high blood pressure of, having too much salt. But yeah, so I'm doing pretty good.
Good. Yeah, I worry about sodium. Well, I used to worry about sodium because I have high blood pressure as well. And there have been a few times before keto that I would go crazy on those tortilla chips, and I go kind of crazy on them, and all the sodium would just explode my blood pressure. And so when Dr. Boz said to, always put some salt in your water and don't worry about salt and everything, I'm like, lady, you're crazy, because I explode my blood pressure, but
it is hard.
Yeah, it's hard because, it's what they teach you when you have blood pressure. Oh, you got to avoid salt. You got to avoid salt. But no, with me, I can't avoid salt because I get headaches or I start feeling dizzy a lot.
That was happened to me too.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping this week that this 72 will be easier than last week, but already I'm feeling better today. So I think I'm paranoid also about my blood pressure going down, because of it. Did you have to lower your blood pressure medicine when you were doing them or anything?
No, I haven't had that issue. Of course, see, okay, my doctor thinks I'm taking 1.5 blood pressure pills a day. I'm only taking one. I haven't mentioned that to her. Because the 1.5 would make my heart kind of flutter, and my heart will flutter when I'm kind of dehydrated. And I'm taking a water pill for my blood pressure. And so
Me
I'm like,
too.
I am not going to do that. I'm not going into that heart flutter thing. And so I cut back to just one. And I wish I could cut back to just half a one, but I can't. And I have not figured out why my blood pressure does what it does, because some days my blood pressure is 128/65. And then other days I'm feeling fine and everything. And I take my blood pressure and it's 185/80. And I'm like, why is this? I mean, because I know, like, for example, if I drink anything alcoholic, a beer, a little bit of wine, a sip, my blood pressure goes through the roof immediately. Or I also know if I eat wheat or corn or something, my blood pressure goes up. Or if I go really crazy with sugar, like, I don't know what I'd have to do, eat half a container of frosting or something, my blood pressure will go way up. Sugar affects my blood pressure, but I'm not doing sugar,
Right.
So why do I have these days that it's crazy and other days where it's peachy keen, I'm not getting the pattern yet, but I'm sure there's some sort of pattern. It's probably something I'm doing. So I'll figure it out. I'll eventually figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah,
Stop
I
looking all
did.
concerned. Why are you
I
looking so
did ask my
concerned?
doctor about it, and then she said, because I asked her, I'm like, should I be worried about lowering it on fasting? And she was like, no. She said, just keep an eye on it. And she said, if it gets low, then let her know. But
Is your
so
doctor all into keto? Is she okay? Oh, no.
no, no,
She,
not really.
does
Of
she
course,
think it's a fad or something?
yeah, of course she thinks like what is it? The Mediterranean diet is what I should be on, you know.
Oh, a
But
bunch
she,
of pasta, huh?
right, right. Um,
Uh-huh.
but she seemed okay with me doing fasting. She was perfectly fine because I thought for sure I told her that I was going to start doing the 72-hour fast, and I was worried about my blood pressure. And she wasn't concerned about it at all. I was like, okay, which
Okay. All right.
because she gives me a hard time about the fat because of my cholesterol, of course, is high. So she
Yeah.
thinks that the ketos makes it worse, and I shouldn't be doing that. Shouldn't be having the high fat.
Did you sort of gradually go into the 72-hour, or did you go to a 36 or 48 first?
Yeah, I slowly did mine. I had done keto before, so I was really used to doing like the 16 hours, but I
Yeah.
slowly went up to the 23. Like I literally did like 16 one week, and then went to 17, and then went to 18, 19, 20, and then what I did the 23 I did for 2 weeks, and I was fine with the 23 one. So, and then I did I did a 36, which my first 36 I did 42 because I wasn't really hungry at 36. And then the next week I did like a 46. So then I was like, I'm fine with it. So I thought, oh, what the heck, I'll go ahead and try the 72 and see how I do. And I'm so far so good.
Because from the Dr. Boz course, the fasting lesson at the end of the course, she says you're really shooting yourself in the foot if you try to get into the fasting before your body's ready for it.
Yeah, I made sure that my numbers like that I was hitting the ratio, because I was like for 2 months where my numbers I was not like my ketones were like 0.5. I really couldn't, and my sugar was too high. And it was weird because I kept trying stuff and I ate them sardines for a week every day with my meat dinner, and it was like by the end of the week my ketones went up. I was just shocked that, and since then it's been up. I haven't had any issues with it. So
Say that again. So you had sardines with your regular meat.
yeah.
So how much meat in total did you have? How much meat did you have with the can of sardines?
The sardines, I have to look at a can to see. Let me see.
Well, it's about 6 ounces, I think, a regular can.
Yeah. I would have thought that my protein would be too much, because I was eating them. Like what I would do is I was doing it when I was doing the 23 one, and I would eat the can of sardines before dinner. Like I was eating my sardines as I was cooking dinner. Um
And then how much meat did you have for dinner or whatever?
Probably like 4 ounces, 4 or 5 ounces, not a lot.
Oh, okay.
So, and you got to figure it was also one meal a day. So I think I mean, yeah, I'm just surprised that yeah, it hasn't been an issue since my numbers have been fine. I figure I'm okay.
A
If I
good
wasn't
idea.
hitting.
I always eat a ribeye, which is 10 ounces at least. And I never thought to have sardines together with the ribeye. But it
Yeah.
might be an idea to have half a ribeye and then a can of sardines with it. Because then you'd get the more omega-3 and all that.
Yeah, I'm guessing that I just wasn't getting enough fatted, maybe, or I don't know what it is, but the sardines, definitely whatever the sardines have in them, that my body must need it, or you know what I mean? It's just seems to work for me.
Mm-hmm.
So
I
I'm
need to go
going to
back to eating
continue.
sardines.
Yeah, I'm going to keep eating them try to keep up. You know, I probably won't do every day, but like, you know what I mean? Make sure I'm getting in at least like 3 times a week, getting me sardines in.
Yeah, it's easier
Oh,
for me
making
to
my
eat
mouth water for
tuna.
sardines.
Yeah. It's easier for me to eat tuna than it is sardines, but
Yeah, I like tuna better.
yeah. And the sardines, I don't eat mustard, so and I've tried putting mayonnaise with them and I don't like that very much. So
Well,
I
I told
just
you before, there's one lady, she has, she fills her fork full of kimchi, and then she puts one sardine on top of it and
oh
eats that
yeah.
all.
I just pour hot sauce over it and eat them that way.
So what do you guys think? Do you think sardines would go with sauerkraut at all?
Yeah,
You think so?
Probably.
yeah.
I should try that because I like sauerkraut a lot. And, you know, the kimchi is kind of sour and spicy. And, you know, the sauerkraut is sour. That's why it's called sauerkraut. Maybe I should try that.
You could always mix it with your tuna. Like if you're like eating like tuna salad or whatever, mix it like half tuna and half sardines.
Because see, I tried to make it into like my tuna salad, which I mixed some mayonnaise and some pickle relish in there. And that did not taste good. No. No, that was not the thing to do. About that, Connie, about your cholesterol, yes. Dr. Boz says that for the first 6 to 8 months after you go keto, your cholesterol will be higher, but then it will even out. And that's what my body has seemed to have done is, yes, it was up a little bit, but then it came down because before I started keto, it was 285. And then while at first when I was doing keto, it was 269 before I started. Then it went to 285. And then this last time I had it tested, it was 238. And my doctor was still having a hizzy about it. And I'm like, look, you should be really happy because I brought it down by 50 points, you know, give me a little more time and I'll bring it down even more. And then, you know, with the Flora 6 monitor, you can do cholesterol. I did my cholesterol this past Sunday was 140. And I'm like, yeah. So I haven't had a high cholesterol reading in, I don't know, the 6 months that I've had the Flora. But I haven't had my doctor test the cholesterol yet either, but I'm not nervous about it anymore. Especially, I've watched a number of videos about what cholesterol does for our body and how it helps heal our veins and arteries that get injured from, you know, all of the high blood sugar and the high blood pressure and everything. It's a healing thing. Our bodies make it so our bodies can use it to heal inflammation and injuries and stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, it's cholesterol is not the evil thing that doctors make it out to be. It's actually something that's supposed to be there to help us. And
yeah, I've seen a lot of stuff on there, and I've tried to tell my doctor that before, and she's just like totally look at me like I was insane.
yeah, I know. They they don't listen to you, and anyway, it's frustrating so many times. But yeah. Oh, Renee did point out that. Oh yeah. Good night, Tammy, or bye, Tammy. Renee did point out that using the pink Himalayan salt is better for your blood pressure than, you know, table salt. And I don't even think we have any table salt in our house anymore. All we have is the pink Himalayan.
Yeah, I have been using that.
Yeah. So Anyway, well, it's a little after 8. And unless anybody else has any question or something they want to share, Berkeley, you're welcome to talk if you want to. I think I'll call this meeting to an end, and we can see you next week, 7 o'clock Central Time, 7 Central Time, 8 Eastern. What time is it? Oh, it must be 5 o'clock Pacific, huh? 6 Mountain Time. Anyway, so I'm going to stop the recording here. Good night, Patricia.